The childhood friend I secretly liked already had a girlfriend. To avoid misunderstandings, he set me up with someone, a boyfriend. That someone turned out to be his closest buddy, Ethan White. Later on, he caught me and Ethan kissing under the stairwell. His usually calm face looked like that of a wounded dog, his eyes red as he demanded, "Didn't I tell you to just pretend to date him? Who gave you permission to touch her?" Val, when Jessica asks if you already have a boyfriend, don't deny it, I heard Jason Lee telling me the moment I walked out of the restroom. He seemed a bit guilty, avoiding my eyes. Maybe I felt embarrassed too. "She cares so much about our childhood friendship," he explained. "I don't want her to misunderstand and get jealous, so I told her your boyfriend was Ethan." My hands froze mid-motion as I was drying them. I looked at the boy I'd known for 20 years, my heart sour as I softly asked, "You waited here just to tell me this?" A bitter feeling spread through me. Ethan is my best friend, the one who understands me the most. I trust him completely, and besides, you already know him. "Val, could you help me out, just this once?" Jason clasped his hands together, pleading with an almost pitiful expression, like a lost puppy. I felt torn, annoyed, yet soft-hearted. He knew I could never refuse him. After steadying my emotions, I forced a smile and said, "Sure." "Jason said your boyfriend is Ethan White, is that true?" Jessica asked from where she sat on Jason's lap, tilting her head at me. She was his new girlfriend, stunning face, curves that turned heads. For the first time in my life, I lied in front of so many people. My fingers clenched nervously at the hem of my shirt. Just then, a soft chuckle drifted past my ear. I instinctively looked over toward the man sitting in the shadowed corner. Ethan White, with his silver gray hair and earrings glinting under the light, smirked. "Oh, really?" he drawled, lips curving into a crooked smile. When his gaze landed on me, there was a wild, reckless spark in his eyes. My cheeks burned, and I lowered my head, mumbling a faint Jessica scoffed, clearly mocking me. "Wow, I didn't expect you to have this kind of skill. You look so harmless, yet you managed to snatch the top student. What a trick, TSK, tisk." Her voice dripped with disdain. Tears stung my eyes, and I felt cornered. But then Ethan spoke up nonchalantly, "Actually, I was the one who pursued her." Val felt sorry for me, so she agreed. "But you're right, her methods are impressive. Otherwise, how could she have won me over?" His voice was low, deep, and dangerously smooth, playful yet impossibly enticing. Especially when he called my name, slowly, clearly, like we really were a deeply intimate couple. "Wow, that's rich," I sneered. "Sitting on a man's lap while saying those words, don't you feel any shame?" "Ethan, that's going too far." Jason Lee shot him a displeased glance, then gently comforted Jessica, who was crying pitifully in his arms. Ethan White only shrugged, then stood up and walked toward me. "It's almost 11:30. Let's go, girlfriend, I'll take you home." He ruffled my hair, and under everyone's gaze, took my hand and intertwined our fingers. "What are you standing there for?" Ethan pulled out 2 motorcycle helmets from seemingly nowhere, slipping the black one on himself. Then, with a rare seriousness, he leaned down and carefully placed the pink one on my head. Moments earlier he'd dragged me out of the nightclub, and my mind was still foggy. It was as if my body followed him on its own before my brain caught up. By the time I came to, he was straddling his powerful motorcycle, long legs stretching with effortless ease. "Val." His gaze caught mine as he motioned for me to climb on behind him. Once I settled in, I tugged lightly at his shirt and whispered, "I don't want to go home." "Then let's take a ride." I gave a small hum of agreement. He chuckled, reached back to grab my hands, and wrapped them firmly around his waist. "Hold tight. Don't fall off." The night wind whipped by, sharp and cold, while the warmth of his body seeped through the thin fabric under my palms. Confusing. Overwhelming. The motorcycle finally stopped by the riverside. I leaned against the railing, gazing at the shimmering view of the water. "You like Jason, don't you?" Ethan's voice was calm beside me. My heart jolted, and my eyes darted away. How do you know? That secret I had buried so carefully, yet someone saw right through it. The river breeze lifted his silver-gray hair under the blinding moonlight. He pressed a hand against his chest. I can feel it. I stayed silent, until after a long pause I whispered, could you not tell him? Ethan gave a soft laugh, staring out at the still, vast river. I'm not an idiot. Why would I tell him? We stood in silence, watching the city lights twinkle across the water. Tears slipped down my cheeks, stung raw by the night wind. Then, suddenly, a hand appeared beside me, offering a tissue printed with a cartoon puppy. Don't cry. He's not worth it. The man's voice was a little stiff, like someone who had no idea how to comfort others. I froze for a moment before finally taking it. Our fingertips brushed, and I felt his warmth, like a spark jolting through me. I quickly pulled back, murmuring a soft, thank you. I didn't really know Ethan White. We'd only met a few times. All I knew was that he was Jason Lee's closest friend, and a well-known figure on campus. The first time I saw him was when he sang at a school event. My impression of him hadn't been great. Dyed hair, earrings, reckless attitude, doing whatever he pleased, always giving off this air of carefree arrogance. We were two parallel lines, never meant to cross, yet because of Jason's words, from that day forward, our paths intertwined. On a night that left me heartbroken, Ethan stayed by my side. I spoke. He listened. We talked as though we'd been old friends for years. Being with him felt easy, unrestrained, like our souls somehow fit together. Once I set aside my prejudice, I realized he was actually a good man. Beneath that flashy, unreliable exterior was a tender and thoughtful heart. I felt ashamed for having labeled him so shallowly before. Before he took me home, I looked at him, this man carefully fastening my helmet, his brow slightly furrowed. Ethan White, it's really nice to meet you, I said softly. He smiled, leaning down toward me. Same here, Val. It's really nice to meet you, too. But as soon as I parted with Ethan and turned around, I spotted Jason Lee standing under a tree not far away. He strode over, grabbing my hand, anger clouding his face. Where did you two go? Why are you back so late? His grip tightened until it hurt. I sighed. Only then did he notice the redness on my wrist. Val, I'm sorry, he said, guilt flashing across his face. I was just too worried about you. He loosened his hold, looking self-reproachful. I turned my eyes away, refusing to meet his gaze. Why won't you say anything? Jason's voice sounded pained. Are you still angry at me for deciding on my own to set you up with Ethan? I sighed again. No, you're overthinking. I was the one who asked Ethan to take me out for some fresh air, that's why we came back late. Jason's eyes grew red, his tone filled with grievance. You're lying. Don't I know you? You're clearly upset. When I stayed silent, he pouted and tugged gently at my hand. Don't be mad, okay, Val? I really had no choice. I didn't want to lose our friendship. Once Jessica stops paying attention to you, you won't have to pretend to date Ethan anymore. Just treat him like any other friend. He's my best brother, and you're the friend I treasure most. I only feel at ease when he's by your side. I slipped my hand out of his, a chill spreading quietly in my chest. I couldn't help but ask, aren't you afraid that we might actually fall in love? Jason Lee looked startled, then burst out laughing. That's impossible. I know you don't like him. And besides, he would never like you either. Ethan's had someone he's loved for a long time. He didn't notice how the smile tugging at his lips slowly faded. I studied him for a long time before finally saying, if that's what you want, then so be it. Are you tired? Ethan White walked over and handed me an apple, freshly wiped clean. I took it and bit in, the sweetness spread across my tongue instantly. He watched me for a while, then couldn't resist poking the cheek puffed out from chewing. What are you doing? I swatted his hand away and kept eating. Ethan chuckled, "You look just like a little squirrel." He even looked regretful, as if he wanted to pinch my cheeks again. I shot him a sharp glare, eyes warning him off. With a sigh, he relented. This mountain hike had been Ethan's idea. He said it was to improve the bond between a couple. At first, I had no intention of going, after all, we were only pretending to be one. But he added, "You wouldn't really let your boyfriend climb alone, would you?" When he lowered his head with that faint sadness, he looked like a gorgeous, abandoned puppy. I couldn't bear it. So I agreed. After resting, we continued our climb. On the trail, he slowed his pace to match mine, walking leisurely beside me, taking in the scenery. Then, unexpectedly, the sky opened up. Rain drizzled down, the December wind cutting through us, making me shiver. Ethan shrugged off his jacket, draping it over my head, then grabbed my hand and pulled me along through the rain. Thankfully, we found a small shelter nearby. "Looks like we won't make it to the summit today," he said. "No chance to see the view from the top." I stared out at the hazy outline of the mountain under the rain, sighing. But it's not a total waste. I've already seen the most beautiful sight in the world. I blinked at him in surprise. "Where? When did you see it?" Ethan's eyes glimmered as he leaned closer, his long pale finger brushing lightly against my lips. "In my eyes," he whispered. My heart skipped a violent beat. Just then, a close friend from school called me, eager to share her love story. "Hey, do you know," she gushed over the phone. "When you like someone, they're all you think about. Every time you hear their name, your heart won't stop racing." Do you understand that feeling? I froze for a moment. Because when I heard the word "like," the first image that flashed in my mind wasn't Jason Lee, it was Ethan White. My chest pounded violently. I pressed a hand over my heart, both frightened by this strange new sensation and intoxicated by it. So this is what it means to like someone? I realized then, I liked Ethan White. I had confused my attachment to Jason Lee with love, but my heartbeat never lied. With Jason, I'd never felt this kind of racing pulse. The urge to see Ethan overwhelmed me. I grabbed my phone and texted him, "I want to see you." 10 minutes later, his reply came, "Come downstairs. I'm waiting for you." I nearly sprinted the entire way. Ethan stood there under the streetlight, his silver hair glinting. When he saw me dressed so thinly, his brows furrowed. Without hesitation, he pulled off his scarf and wrapped it around my neck. "What are you running for?" I wasn't going anywhere. "Don't make me worry," he scolded gently, then shrugged off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. His smile was tender, as though he were handling something precious. My heartbeat thundered in my chest. Snowflakes suddenly began to fall. Looking into his eyes, I felt warmth flood through me, unable to control the quickened rhythm. I blurted out, "Do you like me?" "Yes. I like you." His voice held no hesitation as he gently lifted my chin. His lips brushed my forehead in a restrained, tender kiss. The feel of his thin lips against my skin made me tremble. "Val," he whispered, "I've liked you for a long time." His gaze burned with intensity that sent shivers through me. "To get closer to you, I became Jason's friend back in high school. I worked hard to attend the same university as you. I dyed my hair just so you'd notice me, and created countless coincidences to cross paths with you. But you never looked my way, you only focused on Jason and your studies." My eyes stung, tears brimming as I choked out, I like you too, Ethan." He smiled, the corners of his lips curving upward. His eyes glittered like they held a sky full of stars, the depths shimmering with joy. Ethan pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly. "Val, be mine." Time seemed to stop in that moment. The world went silent. All I could hear was the burning rhythm of our two hearts, pounding together. Beneath the gentle swirl of falling snow, I wrapped my arms around his waist and pressed my cheek against his chest. And just like that, winter didn't feel so cold anymore. After I started dating Ethan White, I finally understood what love really felt like. On days when we didn't have class, he would go with me to lectures. We'd sit together in the back row, secretly holding hands under the desk. At night, we would stroll hand in hand along the narrow paths of the campus. One day, I casually mentioned that I wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. That weekend, he took me out and patiently taught me step by step. Lean forward a bit, closer to the bike, just like this. He sat behind me, his warm body pressed against my back. His lips brushed lightly against my ear, his breath hot against my skin. My body went weak, my waist arching even more. "That's it, Val, you're doing great." Even though it was just a motorcycle lesson, I was flushed all over. Ethan really was like a devilish temptation. He turned me around to face him, and I watched his Adam's apple bob as he swallowed hard. His dark eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that stole my breath. Then he covered my eyes with his hand, and his burning lips crashed against mine. Our tongues entwined. I grew dizzy, lost in the haze, only aware of his mouth leaving and returning to mine again and again. My body melted into his arms, vision blurred, breath unsteady. Against my ear, I could hear the fierce pounding of his heartbeat. Ethan's hand slid across my back. I lifted my head weakly to look at him. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and pulled me tighter against him. "Val, don't look at me like that. I won't be able to resist." "Val, I got you a gift, see if you like it." Jason Lee appeared from behind, smiling as he handed me a stuffed bear, his expression full of hope. "Thank you." I accepted it politely and placed it on the desk. But when he realized my attention wasn't really on him, his eyes darkened. "So, while I was away, did anything happen?" he asked carefully. Jason had taken more than half a month off to travel to Japan with Jessica, so he had no idea that Ethan and I were officially together now. I shook my head, avoiding his idle chatter about the trip, my eyes drifting again and again to my phone. Winter break was coming, and this year Ethan would be traveling abroad with his family. Our time together was limited, and I didn't want anyone irrelevant disrupting our dates. "I'm here." Waiting at the school gate. The phone buzzed with Ethan's text. My lips curved into a wide smile as I hurriedly packed up my things and ran toward the gate. Behind me, the stuffed bear Jason had given me sat forgotten on the desk, alone. By the time Jason Lee reacted and chased after us, all he could see was me and Ethan White speeding away on the motorcycle. His face darkened, and he stood frozen in place, unwilling to move. "Since when did you two become that close?" A sudden voice startled me so badly I nearly tripped on the stairs. Jason stepped out from the shadows, his expression unreadable. "I didn't know you were that close with him." He looked like he was smiling, but the smile never reached his eyes. I said nothing. Jason seemed to realize something had slipped beyond his control. Suddenly, he stepped forward, gripping my shoulders tightly. "Val, I don't mind if you're friends with him. But he can't be more important than me. I have to be the most important person in your life. Jessica doesn't care about you anymore, you don't need to keep pretending to be Ethan's girlfriend. From now on, don't go out alone with him, okay?" Uncomfortable, I shoved his hands away. "You're going too far. Where I go, who I'm with, that's none of your business." My resistance left him stunned for a moment. Then he lowered his head, mumbling, "Sorry, Val. I'm just scared. Scared he'll take you away from me." I sighed and patted his shoulder helplessly. "Don't worry. You'll always be my best friend." "Best friend, huh?" Jason muttered, his gaze turning unfocused, as if something inside him had shifted without his understanding. Before leaving the country, Ethan and I embraced tightly, reluctant to part. "Val, I wish I could tuck you in my pocket and take you with me." He sighed softly, pressing tender kisses against me. I rose on tiptoe to kiss him back, clutching the fabric of his shirt. "Miss me, okay? Wait for me like a good girl." He ruffled my hair, then walked through airport security, turning back 3 times to look at me before disappearing from sight. A sudden emptiness hollowed out my chest. On the way home, I was so distracted I didn't notice Jason waiting at my door. "Val," he greeted eagerly, stepping forward to sling an arm around my shoulders like he always used to. But I instinctively dodged, and his movement froze, his face darkening. "Between friends, that's not really appropriate anymore," I said quietly. "Besides, we both have someone we're seeing now." Jason's eyes widened in disbelief, his voice laced with shock. "What nonsense are you talking about? You don't have a boyfriend." "How would I not know?" Then, as if something dawned on him, the tension in his face suddenly eased. "Don't tell me, you've gotten too deep into your role. You and Ethan are just pretending, remember? It doesn't count. I told you already, he's liked someone else for a long time. Val, you can't possibly like him." I felt a surge of irritation. What gave Jason Lee the right to be so certain that Ethan White and I could never be together? If he ever found out we were actually dating, I was sure his expression would be priceless. For some reason, I couldn't help but look forward to that moment. Happy New Year. At the dinner table, relatives clinked glasses, the room filled with warmth and laughter. Outside, firecrackers exploded in bursts, mixing with the shrieks of children playing. Watching the New Year's Eve gala was a family tradition. Everyone gathered around the TV, counting down together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. As the voices rang out in unison, I leaned against the window, gazing at the night sky bursting with fireworks, my excitement spilling into my phone. Happy New Year. Ethan's smiling voice came through, low and magnetic. Happy New Year, Val. His warm tone sent a tingle through me. It was night here, but morning where he was. I couldn't think of anything else to say, yet I couldn't bear to hang up either. So we talked about nothing and everything. The living room was too noisy, so I slipped away into my bedroom, finally finding a little peace. Pressing my hand to the cold glass window, I breathed out, fogging up the surface. With my fingertip, I drew a heart, and inside it wrote 3 letters, SIB. Outside, delicate snowflakes drifted down slowly. I couldn't resist opening the window, letting one fall into my palm. Cold at first, it quickly melted against my skin. Ethan, it's snowing here. I haven't seen you for days. I miss you so much. His voice came through the line, deep and sweet, sending sparks across my skin. Val, I miss you too. My face grew hot, and I whispered back, I miss you too. Afraid he hadn't heard me clearly, I added, I miss you very, very much. Gently, he replied, I know. On New Year's morning, I went with my parents to visit relatives. The process was tedious. I sat quietly most of the time, my mind wandering whenever my parents got caught up in conversation. I'd stayed up too late talking with Ethan the night before. I didn't even remember when I fell asleep. All I knew was that when I woke up this morning, my phone was dead, the battery drained completely. By the time I finally got home, it was already dark. I collapsed onto my bed and grabbed my phone. The notification bar was empty, no messages from Ethan White. Whatever, I'll shower first. When I came out, hair still damp, my phone rang. It was Ethan. I answered quickly, rolling around on my bed in excitement. What are you doing? His deep voice asked, and I swore I could hear his steady breathing through the line. Obviously, I'm thinking about you, I teased. He chuckled softly. Then go look out your window. I shot up and ran to the window. There, standing tall under the streetlight, was Ethan, dressed in a long black coat, his shoulders and silver hair dusted with snow. Put something warm on before you come down. No need to rush. But how could I not? When it's the person you love, of course you run. I threw on my fluffy bunny pajama coat and dashed outside. Not far ahead, the man I had longed for day and night was smiling at me. I ran straight into his arms. Ethan caught me and held me tightly. Why are you here? I asked breathlessly, wrapping my arms around his neck. Because I missed you. That's reason enough. That longing spilled into heated kisses, the kind that left us tangled, unwilling to part. "What are you two doing?" Jason Lee's angry voice cut through the night. Ethan gently set me down, though I still leaned against his broad chest, gasping softly. Against my ear, I could hear his strong heartbeat, and my face burned. He pulled me closer, tucking me inside his coat, shielding me from Jason's furious stare. "Val, come here." Jason's tone was ice cold, his eyes sharp with rage. I didn't move. His face twisted, and he lunged as if to drag me away, only to be stopped by Ethan. "You said it was just pretend. Who gave you the right to touch her?" Ethan sneered calmly. "I never agreed to that. And love, why would we need your permission?" Jason froze, his eyes reddening with fury. "So the person you like, it's Val." He wasn't stupid, he understood instantly. His gaze toward Ethan grew colder by the second. "That's right," Ethan admitted without hesitation. Then, with a light smirk, he added, "Come to think of it, I should thank you. Without your help creating chances, how else could I have gotten what I wished for?" Clapping Jason on the shoulder, he smiled faintly, tinged with arrogance. "Don't worry. At my wedding with Val, you, our great matchmaker, will definitely get a seat at the main table." With that, he bent down and pressed a kiss against my cheek, his expression full of satisfaction and devotion. "Well, Jason, do you still want to keep watching us kiss?" I peeked my head out from Ethan White's coat, trying to see if Jason Lee was still standing there. But Ethan quickly pressed me back into his chest. "Don't look at him," he murmured. "I'll get jealous." Winter break passed quickly. By the third week after the semester began, I received a message from Jason. "Val, can we meet for a bit? We need to talk." Since the night he caught Ethan and me kissing outside, we had barely spoken. I knew he was angry, and that he blamed me. Before, I would have rushed to coax him, even lowered my head to apologize. But not anymore. In the end, it all came down to one thing: love, or the lack of it. I didn't reject his request to meet. Afraid Ethan would be jealous, I told him in advance. "Want me to go with you?" "I don't trust that guy." Ethan wrapped his arms around my waist, nuzzling into my neck before gently taking my earlobe between his lips. I kissed the corner of his mouth softly, whispering, "Don't worry, I haven't liked him for a long time." "Really, don't worry." "Then lower your head a little, I want to test that with a kiss." His face lit up with satisfaction, though he pretended to pout. "One kiss isn't enough. A few more." By the time he finally let go, my legs were trembling from how fiercely he kissed me. Sometimes, having a lover who clings so much is a sweet kind of burden. I broke up with Jessica. The moment I sat down across from Jason at the cafe, those were the first words out of his mouth. "That's what you called me out here to say?" I asked. He lowered his head, sipping his coffee with a dazed look, muttering almost to himself. "Jessica said I liked you." My first reaction was, how could that be? I've only ever thought of you as my closest friend, the little sister I grew up with. But, why is it that every moment I'm with her, I'm really thinking of you? And every time I imagine you with Ethan, I go insane with jealousy. I kept telling myself it was just the possessiveness of a best friend, but maybe it's not. His eyes lifted to mine, pained and on the verge of tears. "Val, if I say I like you now, is it already too late?" I hadn't even found the words to answer before someone slid into the seat beside me. Lifting my head, I froze. It was Ethan White. "Why are you here?" I asked in surprise. He smiled faintly, threading his fingers through mine, our 10 fingers interlocked. "I missed you." That night, he dared to hold my hand in front of a crowd, even lowering his head to kiss the back of it gently. With Ethan White's bold affection, I no longer had the heart to waste time on Jason Lee. The past should stay in the past. We'll always be friends, that won't change. Ethan shot Jason a sharp look, but when his eyes turned back to me, they softened instantly. "Jason, take your time with that coffee. If it's not enough, I'll buy you another. But now, I need to take my girlfriend home. That night, as soon as I returned to the dorm, my phone rang. It was Jason. Val, I feel awful. Can you come meet me? Please? His voice was broken, slurred, like he'd been drinking. You'll come, right? I didn't reply, just hung up and went to shower. But before I could, the phone rang again. This time, it was Ethan. Wife. Val. I miss you so much. My head's spinning. I don't feel good. Ethan, what's wrong? Where are you? He gave me an address. I rushed to catch a cab there. Val, you're here. He grinned brightly when he saw me, stumbling toward me unsteadily. He pulled me down to sit, then rested his head in my lap, nuzzling against me like a spoiled cat. Helpless, I supported him, ready to take him back to his apartment, when a voice called out. Val. Jason stood nearby, his eyes full of pain, his face unbearably lonely as he looked at us. That's when I realized they had arranged to meet each other tonight. I stopped, turning back to him. Jason, don't say anything more. You're a good person. We don't need to torment ourselves over the past anymore. Right now, I'm happy. My heart beats in sync with the man I love. I believe that one day, you'll also find someone who truly understands you. So, goodbye. Before I left, I saw Jason bury his head in his hands, shoulders shaking as he sobbed. When we reached Ethan's apartment, I tossed him onto the sofa. Stop pretending. I shook his arm in annoyance, giving a playful jab to his firm abs. Ow, easy, are you trying to murder your husband? In a flash, Ethan rolled over, pinning me beneath him. His burning eyes looked as though he wanted to set me ablaze. Let me hold you, just for a while. He pulled me up against him, holding me tightly. You're so warm, Val, so warm. Kiss me, won't you? He whispered against my ear. Don't act spoiled, and don't trick me. Just tell me honestly what happened tonight. I let him hold me, feeling the heat of his body seep into mine. I'm so glad you chose me over him, he admitted softly, but I'm also terrified of losing you. So that was it. I knew something was off, I said quietly. What are the chances that both of you would call me out drinking on the same night? I sighed, running my hand through his short silver gray hair. Just as I had imagined, it was silky soft. He leaned his head comfortably against my shoulder. I lifted his striking face in my hands and kissed him firmly. I'll never leave you. How could I ever let you go? For a moment, Ethan White froze, then immediately took control, pulling me onto his lap, facing him as the kiss deepened. When I opened my eyes, I saw the burning desire in his gaze, as though he wanted to devour me whole. My cheeks blazed, embarrassment rushing through me. See, could you calm down a little? I stammered. Instead, he kissed my hair, burying his face into my neck as he inhaled deeply. I can't calm down. Did you really think all I wanted was to hold and kiss you? His voice was low, magnetic, intoxicating against my ear. Val, I'm still a man with normal desires. In the end, though, we didn't take that final step. After showering together, I curled up in his arms. His body was flawless, beneath the firm chest was a perfectly flat stomach, every rib sharply defined. I rested my hand there, secretly tracing it a few times. Closing my eyes, I carefully savored the tautness and allure of his muscles. Inwardly, I couldn't help but marvel, Ethan White really is a treasure among men. He stroked my back gently as drowsiness overtook me. Nestling closer, I found a more comfortable spot. Just before sleep claimed me, I heard his whisper. Val, after graduation, let's get married. Yes. After meeting Ethan's parents, I began preparing to introduce him to mine. He had even dyed his silver hair back to black, looking more mature and composed. Still incredibly handsome, but honestly, I preferred his wild, carefree look from before. When I asked why he changed it, he pinched my cheek with a grin. To put my future in-laws at ease, of course. so I can be the perfect, well-behaved son-in-law. While my dad played chess with Ethan over tea, my mom pulled me aside. Your boyfriend is amazing, handsome, polite, and he knows exactly how to win your father over. I suspect your taste in good-looking men might come straight from me. After dinner, as Ethan and I were about to leave, I went downstairs to toss out the trash and ran into Jason Lee. He looked at my tightly clasped hand with Ethan's, then glanced up toward the apartment. Realization dawned across his face, his expression instantly paling. Ethan didn't even pause, he just tugged me away. Once we got into the car, he clenched his jaw. This has gone on long enough. I need to call my parents and arrange the engagement right away. Not so tight, you're going to crush your wife. I stroked Ethan White's chin like I was soothing a spoiled cat, coaxing him softly. After agreeing to a string of requests that would make anyone blush, he finally returned to his cheerful self. At graduation, Ethan proposed to me in front of the entire faculty and student body. The very next day, after both families met to discuss the wedding, he couldn't wait any longer. He dragged me to register our marriage. He insisted on keeping the marriage certificate himself, promising to guard it carefully. Gazing at the photo on the red document, he grinned foolishly before tucking the 2 booklets away like priceless treasures. Wife. I finally belong to you. His eyes reddened as he lifted me into his arms. From now on, you must love me even more. At the wedding, Ethan deliberately arranged for Jason Lee to be seated in the front row. Val, you look beautiful today. Thank you. Jason raised his glass in a quiet toast, downed it in one gulp, and quickly walked away. The busy day left me utterly exhausted. After sending off the last guest, Ethan carried me into our bridal suite, setting me gently on the bed. Wife, pinch me, everything feels like a dream. His eyes shone red, his voice thick with emotion. I kissed his jawline, then trailed down to his Adam's apple. His gaze instantly clouded with desire, his voice husky. Don't tease me. With the utmost care, he slipped off my pure white wedding dress as though handling a fragile treasure. His scorching kisses traveled lower and lower, our breaths mingling in fevered rhythm, his heartbeat pounding against mine. The light in our room burned all night, bearing witness to our passionate union. When our emotions reached their peak, I leaned close to his ear and whispered, Ethan, I love you. His hand gripped my waist tightly, as if to carve the moment into eternity. Against the sound of our hearts entwining, he kissed me deeply. I love you too, Val,